Hey everyone, welcome to my show, Conversations with Caroline. I'm Caroline Rena, and I work with healers, old souls, highly sensitives, and empaths, guiding you through understanding how trauma and grief are part of your journey to uncover the truth of who you are. I am dedicated to guiding you to find out how to raise your vibration because you are here for a reason. So stay tuned as we explore how we can heal and empower ourselves together. Let's get started. Okay, so today we are diving into a really powerful topic. And what that is why is this happening to me again? This is about understanding 3 of the reasons why these events in your life that keep happening aren't your fault, especially after trauma. Have you ever found yourself wondering, why is this happening to me again? I certainly have. Throughout my entire life, I've been doing this work for over 30 years on myself, and especially this deep dive over the last 8 years. And everything in my life, experiences were repetitive until I learned how not to do it. So this question can feel even more challenging after experiencing trauma. Today, what we're going to explore is why certain events may repeat themselves, why they're not your fault, especially in the context of trauma. The reason I decided to do this was because I had a group member in my Old Souls, Highly Sensitives, and Empaths group over on Facebook ask the questions after sharing her life story about how all these things kept happening over and over and over. It sounded like she felt like she was being punished and she was questioning things, and she even questioned God. And it's like, no, I don't. I want to be able to share what is actually going on. Please be aware that when I say God, I'm expressing source or a higher power because I try to be inclusive of everyone. That's just, I'm going to say that at the get-go. What's happening here is I'm going to give you 3 main points about this, why this is happening again. And the first one is trauma has an impact on our perception. And what I'm doing is I'm delving into how trauma can shape our perception of events and relationships, and why it's crucial not to blame yourself for patterns that emerge. And these patterns are normal in response to a trauma. In that, trauma, let's start with that, it's not the actual initial event. What trauma is it's what remains in our nervous system afterwards. So basically what happens is you have, all of us, because we're human and we're built this way, have a stress response. And normally what the stress response is there for is to react to a tiger chasing us. Well, we don't have those issues in our lives. What we have are different types of trauma, especially, and to include childhood trauma and generational trauma. What's happening is trauma is a loop that never closes. So it gets stuck in the nervous system at that point that doesn't close because we didn't know how to deal with the emotion that the trauma caused. So because it caused the emotion, the energy, emotions, a lot of people talk about it being energy in motion. If that energy isn't in motion, it will get stuck in our nervous system, in our subconscious. And then our bodies want to repair itself, which is what our bodies do mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of it. It wants to repair in order to create equilibrium. So if that's not happening, it's going to cause these stresses and these traumas and all this energy to just start stacking. And when we experience trauma in childhood, whether it's a small trauma or a significant event, it wires us to adapt and protect ourselves through our stress response. So over time, as I said, this response can get stuck. It gets stuck. So you see how that kind of stacks. There's that little gap in there where the stuck emotions are, the energy of that emotions right there are stuck. So what happens there is we may enter a state of hypervigilance, which puts us on constant guard for threats, that remind us of the emotion from the trauma in our childhood. So they also talk about complex, I don't like using it as a disorder because I don't think we are disordered. I think we are responding. So it's like post-traumatic stress response, which is part of the stress response. That's how I've been figuring this out for myself. So basically, this hypervigilance and us being on guard is just pulling up and pulling back over and over again, all these traumas, which brings out the complex piece that have happened throughout our lives. And so our bodies, our reptilian brain, which is where this all comes from, is stuck in this response, waiting for that tiger to appear. The tiger, there's no tiger, right? So the subconscious vigilance means that anything that resembles the emotion of the original trauma can trigger events in our lives, which our bodies are actually drawing in to help us heal and find closure. But it doesn't feel that way. It's common for us to feel like we've done something wrong, or there's something wrong with us, or that we're not good enough. Whatever that coping mechanism is like an adaptation to protect ourselves from that trauma and the energies of the emotions that we had no idea how to deal with. The thing about feeling like we've done something wrong, like for me, it felt like I was continuously being punished for it. And that's not happening. In reality, we haven't done anything wrong. It's just our body's way of trying to heal. And that's why this work is so important. So just to give you an idea, like for many years of my life, like every little thing that came up or happened for me, all these events that happened in my life, from childhood traumas to military sexual trauma, then there was parental alienation, something else I went through where, and you'll hear me talk about this in relation to how it helped me heal on this journey. That was actually the catalyst for me to start healing. And then there is, of course, generational trauma. What ended up happening was that I punished myself throughout my entire life because I was like, what the heck did I do wrong? I didn't, everybody did something. I wasn't the only one. It wasn't all me. So why is this consistently happening to me? I learned years later that it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Again, going back to healing the body and the mind and creating equilibrium. Okay, so, but in that time, I punished myself, I punished others. Oh my gosh, it was really challenging to get through all that because I could not see. I mean, it was like this. I'm trying to look around and see how to get out of this, and there was no way. Now, you're going to find that the answers are all in here, and I'm going to be talking about that more, not out there. Number 2 is external triggers and responses. Now, this is examining how external triggers and societal influences can trigger reoccurrences of distressing events and why these triggers are not under your direct control. Basically, the piece about the external triggers and the societal influences, things that happen outside of us are happening in response to our subconscious that is asking us, our souls, asking who we are to pay attention, to experience this, so we have another opportunity to create equilibrium in the system. Yay. Okay, so it's cute, but it sucks and it hurts and it feels like crap at the same time. So I'm just being honest about that. So in that, the other problematic thing here is that in society, we, especially my generation, I'm seeing it a little less and less because people are more open. The younger generations are more open to their emotions. So like my generation, especially with men, we're taught not to feel our emotions. Well, so to me, that's adding yet another layer of a problem onto this situation, because when we don't feel our emotion, we don't release our emotion, we don't heal, we don't clear. So once again, the loop stays open, that loop of the trauma. So it's like we've got things, so many things that appear to be stacked against us, but we still have the power and the audacity, all this stuff to take care of this stuff. It just doesn't feel like that, especially when we're stuck in this space. So, for example, things or events like divorce or any distressing experience can trigger the energy of the emotions from the past traumas, which set us up for more traumatic events. As a society, as a whole, as like everything on the planet is showing that right now. And it expresses within ourselves first and shows up out there. When it shows up out there, it gives us the chance to undo it in here. That's what's happening. These past triggers, again, accumulate in the nervous system over time, which eventually, if you don't heal them, they get worse the older you get. So it's so important, especially as an old soul, highly sensitive and empath, to clear those out, because we're actually here for a purpose. This is why you're doing it. I know a lot of you have this like thing inside of you that keeps saying, yeah, but I'm supposed to be here for a reason. Yeah, something's going on. I just can't figure out what it is. What's happening with me? That sort of thing. The reason this is so important is because it influences our behavior in ways that don't align with our true selves. It is not the truth of who we are. What we're doing is we're adapting to these circumstances just so we can navigate through life. And eventually, if we don't do the work, we enter into a chronic survival mode. And that's really challenging to get out of. It's doable, but it's challenging to get out of that. Why it's so important to do the work. Okay. So these subconscious triggers can make us feel like we're out of control, which is a natural human response as our bodies are striving for that balance, the equilibrium I was talking about, and especially because of the trauma, we are trying to find safety. That is what we are looking for. That is why everything in our society is built around feeling safe. Well, go buy this and you'll be safe. Go do this, you'll be safe. Do this, you'll be safe. The challenge with that is that safety is from here. And when you do the healing work, it's not about adding something to you. You already have what you need inside of you. What this is doing is taking away the things that no longer serve you. So who you really are comes out. And when you come out, you start to see things. And I'm saying this is coming from my perspective because I'm still fresh with this awareness that, oh my gosh, I did a lot of work and it was not easy work. It was hard work, but it shifted things inside of me so much where things are just happening and you hear all this stuff. And when you're in it, when I was in it, I couldn't figure out, how do I manifest? How do I do that? How do I do all these things that these people are doing? Well, once you clear this out of your system, it's natural, it's automatic. This is what I'm finding. So this is what I'm sharing. What happens, let's go back to the out of control. Feeling out of control because of all this, our minds are often overwhelmed with overthinking. And overthinking, well, let's just say that the human mind can think 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are not good. So if you're thinking that many thoughts, you want to learn how not to do that. You want to learn how to create a space of peace. What that does is it adds to the complexity of our nervous system state that it's already in, which is beyond our immediate control. So for me, what happens is, or was, when I felt, because of all these traumas that occurred in my life, I felt so out of control that all I could do was control my environment, or at least try, because we all know that doesn't work. We have no control over anything except this right here. What our responses are, what our reactions are, that's what we have control over. They call it, I think they call that the locus of control. So it's just here, not anywhere else. It's out of our radius, arm's length. Putting myself in that position of trying to control things outside of me because I felt so out of control did not work. The last thing I want to talk about, number 3, is healing and compassion. I touched on the healing throughout this conversation so far. And what this is about, though, is emphasizing the healing journey and the importance of self-compassion in overcoming trauma and navigating life's challenges with resilience. Huge word. When somebody says you're resilient and they recognize that in you, you know you're on the right track. So from my perspective, I want to emphasize, again, nothing out there externally from you is causing these challenges. It's all in here. That's the cause and effect is in here. We cause it because of the trauma. But I want you to hear this carefully. There is nothing inherently wrong with you. It's what happened to you. It's about how our stress response is programmed to handle trauma and how these traumas imprint on our nervous systems until we address and release them. When you embark on this healing journey, the most important thing to get to is self-compassion. It is crucial. It's also not easy. I will tell you from my own perspective, it took a long time to create this awareness of compassion for myself. There was this constant feeling of not good enough and punishment, and I don't get to be compassionate for myself. I don't deserve it. Why should I? Right? So that's why it's so challenging. Initially, it gets better. And a lot of us, most of us, have often been so self-critical for so long that reaching this point requires a lot of self-acceptance and kindness. It's a process. It isn't something that's going to happen like right now. If you've been dealing with this stuff for 30 years, it's going to take a while. If you've been dealing with this stuff for 60 years, it's going to take a little while longer. I'm going to be 60 next month. It's going to take longer. Trust me on this one, especially in this older generation, because you've got so much to clear, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. This is one of those, if I can do it, I know you can do it. All right. What I feel is most important to say here, especially, is that seeking support is a vital step in healing. When I was first going through this, here and there, I had therapists and things like that at the beginning. However, most of the work I did was from self-help books. I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't feel like I could trust anyone mostly. There were people I had in my life that I definitely could trust and did. But for the most part, I didn't feel like I had people that I could trust to talk to. And in the process, though, because of where I was at, I pushed those people out too, which is not a good thing because having that support system is very precious. And when your energy and your behavior pushes that away, it creates the alone feeling that one of my life lessons is about. It was very difficult to deal with that. I have to say, though, that sometimes also when we're traumatized, we may feel undeserving of help or doubt our worthiness to receive it. That's also something to be aware of. And you get to that point where you understand that these things that are happening that you're thinking about yourself are actually not true. And so shifting these beliefs is absolutely essential. As old souls, highly sensitives, and empaths, we often experience intense emotions, and our nervous systems are naturally sensitive. We need to do this work. I feel like my soul chose to be here to do this work. It's important when you find that, when you release all those energies out of your nervous system and you find the truth of who you are, it will show up automatically. You may not have every answer as to what direction to go in. However, you take a step, and as an old friend said to me a long time ago, providence answers and comes with you. And the universe will answer you, and God will answer you, and your higher power will answer you. Source will answer you. It will help you. But if you are so clogged up in your nervous system, it's very difficult at best to feel that or hear those answers or see those answers, depending on what, gift you have. Okay. Part of our purpose here is that we are able to heal these traumas so we can contribute positively to our planet's healing through a state of love. That isn't what's happening right now. As we grow within ourselves, actually creates love in a more exponential way. The work gets brighter, and that is what we are here for. As a collective group, that is what I feel we are here for, or we wouldn't be finding each other. That's what's so cool about this. So the journey to this point of self-reflection, even though it takes time, there's a gentleness and a patience. And because you are here, it will certainly here in this group or watching these videos, it will certainly not take as much time as it took me. I guarantee that. Things are moving faster. Remember that our innate state is one with love, of love. And as we progress through our healing process, we naturally return to this state and our lives begin to transform. I kind of already alluded to this, but once again, in answer to this, after all of this healing work and all of this, the compassion that I've learned to give myself throughout this journey, which has not been an easy journey, I can tell you this, it has shifted everything. And again, I would not be here talking to you right now like this, or at all, maybe, I don't know that, to bring us together in whatever way we're meant to do this. I don't know that yet. It'll come. I have faith in that now. I didn't before. So know that in this, that is my intention in bringing us all together. That's just the way it feels. I'm clairsentient. I feel things. I don't see things. Sometimes I hear things. Sometimes I know things, but mostly I feel things, and I feel like we are here for this purpose. The last thing I'd like to say is that understanding why things happen the way they do can be a crucial step in healing from trauma. And remember, it is not your fault. You do have to take responsibility as an adult. That one's a tricky one. However, it wasn't your fault. By embracing self-compassion and seeking support, you can empower yourself to grow and thrive. All right. I think that's about it. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who might benefit. And thank you for watching. Peace. Be sure to like and subscribe so we can get to more people. And we'll see you over in the Facebook group.